about is you. Don't stop, baby, you can walk too. Go on, baby, think about you. You know that I'm never gonna lose. Sometimes all I think about is you. Late nights in the middle of June. He waves been faking me out. Can't make you happier now. Sometimes all I think about is you. Late nights in the middle of June. He waves been faking me out. Can't make you happier now. Usually I put something on TV, so we never think about you and me. But today I see our reflections clear.
Well, welcome everyone to the second day and the second step of the business tour brought to you by the SABGB, an event tailor-made for you students who are interested in taking a glance on how it is like to working on the most successful companies in the world.
Last week, we were able to explore the daily dynamic of Paulina Gallagher at TikTok from the social media industry. And today, we're taking a step further into the automotive luxury industry with Ferrari.
The Student Council for Bachelor in Global Business is part of making this event so that you can have the global scope for taking one of the most important decisions of your life. At what industry or company should you work? So fasten up your seatbelts and get ready for another exciting conference in Business Tour.
Before we dive into our conference, we want to thank all of you who are accompanying us today. We are very glad that the community and gather up for this conference, not only students from university, but also high school students. I would like to remind you that you can leave your questions for our speaker in the Zoom chat throughout the conference, and for our speaker to answer at the end in a Q&A segment.
Constantine Faust graduated from Business Administration at Tec de Monterrey in 2014, later on studying at Nürtingen-Geislingen University in Germany to achieve a Bachelor of Arts in Automotive Business and a Master of Arts in Automotive Management, as well as Master of Management in the International College of NIDA in Bangkok, Thailand. With experience in Porsche in Germany, Middle East, and Africa, and currently working for Ferrari as a sales and business development coordinator in Central Europe. It is an honor for us to have you here today, Mr. Faust, so the floor is completely yours.
So thank you very much for this nice introduction, and hello to everyone who's joining in our virtual room. As they said in the introduction, I'm Constantin Faust. I'm currently working at Ferrari since 2 years, and I hope to give you today a little insight how it is working in Ferrari, what the company is like, what's the difference to other companies, and what exactly my field of work is. The agenda for today will be that first I want to give you an introduction about the company, how it is set up, how it is organized around the world. Then I will go into detail into my areas of responsibilities, what exactly I do at Ferrari. Then the third point, the daily routine, how it could look like. Of course, not every day is like the other, but this would be an example daily routine. And in the end, I'm very happy to answer all of your questions. As your colleague said, you can type it in the chat and they will read it out loud later. So then let's start with the company. The company basically is set up with the headquarters in Maranello. So you can go one slide ahead, please. We have the headquarter in Maranello in Italy. where all cars are produced. So this is the first difference to many car companies. Ferrari is pretty small in terms of yearly produced cars, and all cars that are produced in Italy. So there's not a second plant somewhere else in the world. Every Ferrari you buy is produced in Italy. In the headquarters, they organize their regions in so-called hubs. There are 4 hubs for the whole world. There's the FIA hub, it's Ferrari Europe and Africa, Ferrari Greater China, Ferrari Middle East, and Ferrari North America. So these regions are split, of course, geographically, but also in terms of size, that it's kind of balanced between these hubs, that not one hub is much bigger than another hub. So I work in the Ferrari Europe and Africa hub, or let's say for the Europe and Africa hub, because then it is again splitted every hub in regions. The regions are, in my case, for Europe and Africa, Central, North, West, South, and East Europe. And each of these regions, again, consists of different countries. So in the Ferrari Central Europe hub, where I work here in Wiesbaden, Germany, we are taking care of the German market and of the Austrian market. For example, West Europe consists of France, Portugal, Spain, Netherlands, and also Norway and Sweden, which you might say it's not really West Europe, should more be North Europe, but here again it's organized that it is balanced in terms of size. So size, again, not in this case geographical size, it's more sold cars. So these 5 regions within the Europe and Africa hub should be balanced. Then we can go on to the next slide, which is then some photos that you know how it looks where I work. On the left side, you see our office from inside. On the first glance, it looks a bit more like a dealership. So we have 2 cars at the moment downstairs. In the front, you see this yellow F8 Spider. In the back, a red F8 Tributo. These cars, we're not selling cars at my location, so we are a regional office and managing the country's dealers, but we are not selling cars. We're not a dealership. These cars you see there are press fleet cars, so we have also press public relations part of the company, and if a journalist or a magazine needs a car, they get cars from us. So the office is really nice. It's not all offices look like this, but this is a nice one, so I'm happy for that. On the right side, you see my desk. This is the office for sales where I work. I will go more into detail later, but you see 4 desks there, so 4 people for the sales department. Pretty small team. The whole company in Wiesbaden, Ferrari Central Europe, are only 14 people working there in a few different departments. So a small team, therefore it's very flexible and nice to work with, not a really big company. Then if we go on, I want to go more into detail what exactly my area of responsibility is. Basically, like I said, Ferrari Central Europe consists of 4 different departments. If we go to the next slide, we can see the departments. It is sales, marketing, after sales, and PR and communications. Basically, every region is split into this department. So if you go to Ferrari North Europe or West Europe, or also if you go to the Middle East or North America, basically every part of Ferrari regions consists of these 4 departments. I work in the sales department, and on the right side you see what kind of tasks we do in the sales. So for Central Europe, we have 12 dealers in Germany and 1 dealer in Austria. And we are managing, leading these dealers in their daily business, giving the information and input we get from the headquarters in Maranello. We prepare it and give it to the dealers again. The first main point for a sales department is the vehicle allocation. The vehicle allocation means that we distribute vehicles to the dealers. Different to other automotive companies, which they don't have to distribute the cars. They are happy if the dealers sell cars and they give them as much as needed. For example, if you look at Volkswagen, they would be happy for a dealership that sells as much cars as possible. For Ferrari, it's a bit different because we have a limited product, we have a luxury product, and we cannot give every customer who wants a certain car, we cannot give a car. So we have a higher demand than we can produce or even want to produce. So for a special and limited series, let's say we have 100 people who want to buy a car, but we only have 20. The headquarter gives us as a region a certain number of cars we will get for 1 year. Let's say they tell us next year, 2022, you get 100 cars. Our job is then to distribute this 100 cars to our 13 dealers we have in the market. And this, of course, it depends on the performance of the dealers, on the potential they have, or how they stick to the processes, in which area they are. So taking into consideration all these inputs and KPIs lead to us having a basis how to allocate these cars to the dealers. And of course, every dealer tries to get as many cars as possible. Because it's money for them. So the second big part of our job, which differs us from other automotive companies, is the contract check. So for each and every car that in Germany or Austria is sold, we check the contract, we check the customer if we can give him a car. This means the dealers make a contract with the customer, they send the contract to us. We have a look at the customer. Is he known at Ferrari? Does he have a history with us? Which cars does he own? Which cars is he in waiting list for? So is expecting but not yet produced. And then we decide if we can give him a special or limited car, or if the allocation of the dealer is too small to give him a car. So since we are not so big and we are not selling tens of thousands of cars in 1 year, we can do this to check every single contract. Then another task is to check the production and logistics. So if the dealers have cars in production, we have a so-called order call. So we call out the dealers, tell them in month January and February 2022, you will have 10 production slots. With these 10 production slots, the dealer can check who's waiting for a car and tell us we want to name this, and this customer. And the cars then are moving into production. When they move into production, of course, it's an estimated delivery time we always can give. So we are not this far that we can say, customer number 1, you will get your car on the 5th of January. So it's an Italian company, so they're a bit more flexible. We say January or February. Sometime in between, the car will probably arrive. And often if customers are not so patient, they want to check when is my car coming. Sometimes we have delays. So we have to be in constant contact with the production, ask if delays are possible or what's the reason for a delay. Sometimes it's because of an option that is chosen for the car. So we can assist in some cases. In some cases, there's nothing to do if parts are missing or so. We cannot do anything from here. But yeah, to be in constant contact with them gives also the dealer a better understanding when to expect which car. And then, of course, the logistics, if the cars are ready in Italy, that they are sent to Germany directly to the dealers. So they will not be sent to my location in Wiesbaden, where the Central Europe office is located. They will be sent directly to the dealers. Then another important point is the KPI management. So we as a region, we have to check the performance of our dealers on a daily basis. So KPI management, key performance indicators. In our case, it means, for example, the net order intake. So how many cars are sold by each dealers, how many cars are delivered then to the final customer, how many pre-owned cars are sold, how many pre-owned cars are in stock. And all these information give us a very good insight on how the dealer is performing at the moment. With these indicators, you can see if there is trouble ahead, if you have to intervene in some cases, if you have to check and ask the dealer. Sometimes there are explanations for some numbers, but often these are indicators if something is going wrong, or even if the dealer's performing very good. Of course, if we see that there are some problems at the dealer, we are basically every day I'm a lot on the phone and calling every dealer on how is it going, what's the problem here, how can we assist here, and so on. So the contact between us and the dealerships is very tight. Then two other points which are located in the areas of the sales department is HR and training standards and CI standards. So Ferrari as a company sets pretty tight standards that every dealer has to fulfill. The CI standard, corporate identity, means that from outside and from inside, the dealership should look like Ferrari expects it to look. So the floor is everywhere the same, like the pictures on the walls should be the same. How the setup in the showroom is shown should be the same. So we give some standards that they should fulfill. We check these standards again if we go for a visit at the dealership. We check if they are all in line with what we expect. If they are not, we're giving them advice. Okay, please look at this corner. It should be set up a little bit different. So this is a point as well. And then for HR and training standards, the whole stuff at the dealership, which consists of technicians in the workshop, it's sales representatives, so sales consultants in the showroom. They have back office personnel for sales. They have for marketing people to organize the events. So for the whole dealership, we set a certain frame of training standards, which means online training and physical training in a location. It was before Corona, it was at our place in Wiesbaden. Now with Corona, it is mainly digital, but I hope it will change soon. So Ferrari sets up training courses for each part of the company. So for salespeople, there are training courses how they sell a Ferrari in terms of giving the customer the luxury experience we want them to get. So other than a normal car, let's say you buy for everyday use for, let's say, 20,000 euro, it must be something different and something a nice luxury experience if you buy a Ferrari, because your expectations are different than if you buy a Volkswagen, for example. So they are trained giving this luxury experience to the customer. And these standards are also part of the whole process, or the whole KPIs we look at if we decide if a dealership is able to get more cars in a year, or if they are on a level where they should stay, and they have to improve their processes and their standards to be able to get bigger and grow with us. So these are the main topics in sales, without going into detail too much there. If you have questions regarding certain tasks, like we said before, you can type them in the chat and we will answer them later. Then on the next slide, because I think everyone wants to see some pictures, it's always nice. There's one task every one of us in the company does, and this is helping the marketing teams at events. Our marketing department consists of only 2 people, and considering that we have many events in a year, everyone has to help at some event. At least one of us, one of Ferrari Central Europe staff, should be at an event to supervise it, to be there if there are questions, to check if everything goes as we planned it to be. So the pictures you see here are mainly from roadshow style events. Roadshow means that a certain amount of cars, maybe 6 to 10 cars, travel from dealership to dealership. And with these cars, the dealer does a test drive event. So they invite clients for one day. And with these 10 cars, the clients can do test drives. The test drives are done by professional instructors. These are racing drivers, mostly from Italy. So really professional. They can show the customers how to drive the car, how to drive it safely on the road, because of course we have much power in every car, and not everyone might be able to handle it the first time. But these events show the cars, they show what they're capable of, and are mostly held at very nice locations. You see here some castles around Germany. So the dealer can decide where these events take place. And of course, they look for nice locations. In the middle picture, you see a different type of event. This is a racetrack event. It was at the Nürburgring just a few weeks ago. And there you can see some really special cars. These are racing cars, very limited racing cars for super special customers. And there are just a few of these cars at this event, and they have the racetrack experience there. They are driving on their own. They are not professional drivers, these customers, but if you're a customer and have a car like this, it's most probably you are able to drive it. So this is also something special for us to see these cars, because you don't see them very often, and on the road you never see them because they have no road registration. But yeah, apart from driving on the countryside on open roads, we have events that take place on the track. Also track day events for customer cars. So customers can come with their own cars, drive the car on the track, which we rented, and experience what the car is capable of outside of official roads. Then I would say we can go to the next part of the presentation, so the daily routine. The daily routine in our office, for me at least, it starts at 8:30. We're pretty flexible with that, so we don't have to be there at 8 or at 9. Let's say everyone is coming between 8 and 9. Start work. The first first thing I do in the morning is check my emails and prioritize. So now you might think, yeah, which emails, but maybe in the evening or early in the morning, some emails arrived. Check it if something is very important for the day, and yeah, prioritize it. Then the next task would be that I download the KPI reports to get an overview. I talked about the KPIs, what kind of KPIs we have, and that we get a really good insight on what's going on in the market. So I check it every day in the morning. If something pops up and is apart from the normal, what we can expect, this is then definitely a topic which we have to work on during the day. Then at 9:15, we often have a team discussion. So within the sales department, currently consisting of 3 permanent people and 1 intern we have at the moment. He started just a few weeks ago for half a year. So this is I think in the whole automotive industry is in general 6 months internship is very common. So not less. So if someone of you is interested in an internship and can speak a bit German, you can also contact me. And then the next point would be to call the dealers regarding the open topics. So what we discussed before in the team meeting, often, well, let's say often, actually always, there is some dealers involved which have to be contacted. And yeah, deal with the open topics we have with them. This could be, for example, that they have to send contracts that we have to insert into the system, or we have questions regarding something they have sent us. These are all topics that we discuss on the phone or sometimes by mail, but I think after some time you learn that on the phone you can be much faster than doing everything by email. Some things you have to consider that some things you should have in written if it's something very important, but in general, if you are in a rush and have to get something done, then we grab the phone. Next stop would be 11:15, contact hub or production regarding open topics. So regarding stuck cars in production, if customers are very pushy and are calling the dealership every day, when is my car finally arriving, we can do something and push it a little bit more through the production to prioritize it. And with our hub, which is then basically managing all the Europe regions, not only us as Central Europe, also North, South, West, and East. We get our information, which we need to work, we get from our hub. So this is basically also a daily talk with them. What's new, what's the task of the day or the task for the week. Then from 12:15, we have a lunch break. It's about 1 hour, but again, if you do 15 minutes or 1 hour 15, it's on you. Basically, you just have to get your work done. So 1:15, check and approve contracts for new vehicles. This really depends on the month we are working in, because in some months we have less contracts, in some we have more contracts, depending on the strategy when we want to insert what. For example, now in September, it's a big month on this topic, so it might take a bit more time than now in this example schedule. But yeah, you have to do it like concentrated, because in the end, the outcome of the contract check, if we approve wrong clients we don't want is basically resellers, because resellers means people who just buy the cars to resell them again with a profit. Since we're very limited, so the cars are limited cars, there you can get a higher price on the gray market. So if I buy a Ferrari 812 GTS today, or get it today, and I put it on a platform in the internet, I can sell it for maybe 30,000 euros more than I bought it. So we want to prevent this because we want to deliver to the end customer and make them happy and make the people happy who have a history with Ferrari, and not giving cars to someone who's basically not interested in the car and just wants to resell it again. So this is why this is an important task, even though it might not sound like it in the beginning, but with checking who we deliver to, we will have the customers in the future that are representing the brand and not bringing it down. Then next task, 315, send out communication to the dealer network regarding changes or other topics. So if we have general information from production, for some options for cars, sometimes options are added, new colors, new interior, new leather and stuff. We send out general information to all our 13 dealers in the region, that everyone is on the same page regarding this, because of course it's much easier to have it done to all dealers and not communicate to every single dealer every single topic. Next task of the day would be plan the allocation changes and implement them. Allocation changes in this case means if the headquarter tells us instead of 100 cars next year, you get 110 cars. We of course have to adapt this change to our local allocation to the dealers. So instead, the dealer A, instead of 10 cars next year, he gets 11 cars. This differs, of course, on the model split. So at the current model range, we have a F8 Spider, we have 812 GTS, we have a Portofino M, we have a Ferrari Roma, we have our hybrid hypercar SF90 Stradale and SF90 Spider with a 1,000 horsepower at the moment, the most powerful Ferrari. And then we have some special models which were introduced lately, 812 Competizione, very limited car. And this model split differs from dealer to dealer again. So we have to adjust this to what we get as an input from the headquarter. Next step would be team discussion to recap today. So within the sales department, we check again, depending if we are in home office, which of course at the moment often is the case. We are like split 50% home office, 50% in the office. So if we're in home office, we have a video call and recap what each team member has done during the day, but more important, which still has to be done, which tasks still have to be done. So in case one of us has too much work and doesn't know how to get all things done, of course we split the topics. Basically everyone in our team is able to do all tasks. So if someone is sick, if someone is on holiday, everyone else can do the work. And then at 6 in the evening should be the end of the workday. I say it should be because of course in reality often it's not, especially in a high performing company like Ferrari. You don't have fixed working hours. We don't have to sign somewhere in or so, and after 8 hours we can go. So our credo is that we have to get our work done. If you get your work done at 5 o'clock, you can go at 5. But if you have to stay until 8 or 9 or 10, then sometimes it happens. So I use this time in the evening often to do some work where I need a quiet environment. Often during the day, like every few minutes, dealers are calling, they have questions, they have problems you have to solve. And if you have a bigger task where you just need to be concentrated and not called every few minutes, then you do it in the evening. But probably this is not only in my company like this. I think it's in most companies like this. Yeah, so this would be a daily routine. A day could look like this, of course, not or every day is different. So this is just an example, but I think this gives you a good insight on how a day is organized at Ferrari. So this would be the main part of my presentation. I think now we already have some questions in the chat, and we can go to the question and answer. So now I already want to say thank you for watching and listening to me. I hope it was interesting, and now I'm happy to answer your questions.
All right, thank you, Mr. Faust, for that very insightful presentation. I am sure that many of us enjoyed the inner workings of Ferrari, and we already got some questions in the chat, starting off with Emilio, which he tells us, what has been the most attractive Ferrari event you have organized?
The most attractive event up to now, I would say it was at the Bilsterberg. Bilsterberg is a very small racetrack in northern Germany. It's not a racetrack where real races happen, so it's more a racetrack for testing. But many sports car manufacturers, especially German ones, are testing there because the racetrack is it's really special. It's also called like the small Nordschleife. And Nordschleife is the Nürburgring, the probably most famous racetrack in the world in Germany. And this event is very special because as a customer, if you're invited there, you have half a day slot. So you're there from either, let's say, 8, 9 o'clock until lunchtime, and you can experience the car on the track. You can experience the car on a test area, which is a wet area. You can test the car settings, the car modes. We have the Manettino. It's on every Ferrari. It's very unique for Ferrari, where you can set the car modes, and the customer can try the car in every situation at these events, and you can drive it on the local roads. So for me, and from the viewpoint of a customer, it's a perfect event to get to know the car in every situation and know how it is capable of. And it's a very nice, organized, and nice racetrack. So this is my favorite event so far.
Yeah, that sounds very interesting, especially for testing prototypes and car add-ons to experiment with different car models. So our next question is from Andrea. She tells us, where can we apply for an internship and what are the requirements?
So you can, if there's an internship open, it is usually posted on LinkedIn, on the LinkedIn page from Ferrari. The requirements are, at least now speaking for Central Europe, like for my department, or let's say for Germany, the requirements are that you speak German, because this is not really necessary for the company communication, because with Italy, if you speak Italian, you write and talk Italian with them. In my case, it's in English, but the communications with the dealers is in German, because not all dealers are very fluent in English. So it really would be a problem if you have no German skills. Other requirements for Ferrari in Germany are that you have finished your studies, at least your bachelor's. You can do it in between bachelor or master, or after bachelor or after master degree. So these are the main requirements. We are not very picky on what major you study. So of course, with the business administration major, like probably all of you are studying, it's perfect. You don't have to have experience in the automotive industry. It's not mandatory. Of course, it helps to understand it, but you don't need it. So I can only tell everyone just apply, even if you might think it doesn't fit 100% the description or the requirements, but apply. The chances are always there, and yeah, we're happy to receive the applications. If there's nothing written on the LinkedIn page, you can also send me your request via LinkedIn. You can add me if you want after the event. So even if it's not officially written there, you can ask me if we have an internship open, and that's no problem.
Okay, great. So take note, everybody, so that you can get that dream internship at Ferrari. Our next question is regarding the key performance indicators. Do you know if they change depending on the geographical region?
No, they don't really change, because if they would change, it makes it very hard to compare the regions. So every region is kind of battling who's the best region. And the headquarter uses this to motivate every region, and to compare them, you just need the same key performance indicators. Otherwise, everyone would say, yeah, but my region, we have this and this issue here, so this is the reason we cannot be as good as you in this case. So it makes everything comparable, so everyone should have the same.
Great. Our next question is about the industry as a whole. What is the most challenging part about working for a luxury automotive company?
I think what is challenging that we have a certain image, a luxury image. We want to keep it. We want to keep our cars limited, but also we want to grow. So if we want to grow, we have to combine it with a strategy that keeps us that keeps the cars limited and wanted, but also that the company gains more profits every year. So at the moment we do this in having a broader model split. So now we got a new model with the 296 GTB. It's a hybrid car, a V6 hybrid car. First time for Ferrari, a car like this. And since we have more models, we still can keep every model limited. So I think this is a very good strategy, but we also have to select the right customer. So if we would produce too many cars, that everyone who thinks about getting a Ferrari would get it, there's not this desire anymore in the customers and the feeling I have something special. So if you can buy a Ferrari, you can be proud of it because you say, I really have a special car here that not everyone can get and will get. So yeah, it's difficult to keep this without losing any desire from the customers to get this product. And of course, for Ferrari, and this differs from country to country, is the local image in the society. In Germany, it's pretty extreme that there's a lot of jealousy, and you say, Ferrari only posers drive these cars, and you cannot really drive it without getting shouted at or so. So to get the image more into a social perspective, that it is accepted from society, is also, I think, for every luxury brand, this is an important topic. It's the same for other brands like Lamborghini or Rolls-Royce and so on. A certain type of people always have prejudices against these cars or these brands, and of course Ferrari has the same.
Yeah, I'm sure you work really hard to make sure that Ferrari keeps that prestige and brand uniqueness that has characterized the brand for so many years.
Exactly.
Our next question is similar to the internship one. However, Erika tells us that she already looked for an internship and it was more directed towards the engineering area. Is there one for your specific area, like sales and marketing and customer relations?
Yeah, so at the moment we have an intern in our sales department. So from the tasks, it's basically everything I told you now what I do, you would do as an intern as well in our department. At the moment here in Germany, it's the only intern. Other open positions you can find are probably in other markets or in the headquarter in Maranello. The technical internships are then either in production or maybe for the Formula One, but these are very limited. So if you're looking for an internship and take into consideration to maybe go to Italy, I would recommend that you speak Italian. I don't speak Italian. I want to learn it in case I will change from Germany to Italy. It's definitely very useful to speak the local language, because not everyone speaks English, but more than that, not everyone is willing to speak English if you're the only one there not speaking Italian. So yeah, I would say it should be on your agenda to learn Italian. But you, as a Spanish speakers, I think it's not so hard for you, so you can learn it in a few months.
Yeah, all right. So Erika, get on it, learn Italian. Our next question is from Emiliano. Other than marketing events, what does the marketing team do to achieve the desired engagement with your customers, or even to complete the organization's KPIs?
Mm-hmm. So for every marketing event that takes place, there has to be a preparation. So the preparation is not only thinking about how an event could look like, what you plan it to be, how long, which cars, and so on. It's also the preparation, who to invite. So the invitation itself is a task for the dealership, but you have to lead them somehow, give them advice, who should be the target group for an event, what they could do on top to have a higher participation rate, or then in the end conversion rate from the event. So conversion rate means if you invite 100 people to an event, and you get 10 people out of this event who buy a car, you have 10% conversion rate. And in these topics, these are also then KPIs from marketing: conversion rate, participation rate, and so on. They do in marketing the same we do in sales. They track these activities, they track the KPIs, and they give advice on basis of the KPIs how the dealer could and should improve. So yeah, it's shifted like from sales to marketing, KPI management. They also have this HR standards for the marketing stuff they have to supervise. Then they, of course, besides all this, they have to plan the events. They are in contact with the headquarter, because there's a differentiation between local events that are planned in our office in Germany, and headquarter events that are planned in the headquarter but carried out in our market. So there's again a bit a difference, and these are the main parts in marketing. Then, which is close to marketing, the communications department, then you have stuff like being in contact with journalists, with magazines, organizing test drives for them, and so on. The typical communications work, that how Ferrari looks on the outside for the public. This is their work.
All right, so you have also a little bit of public relations going on.
Exactly. We're also a small department at the moment, one person, but yeah, it's important. I mean, every company has a certain image they want to show in public, and this is the task of the PR and communications department.
Right. So it's very interesting. However, we only have time for one more question, and it's Gabriel, which asks us about the future. With the car industry transitioning towards electric, and Ferrari having one of the most powerful electric power units between luxury brands, what would be a car brand to watch out for as a competitor?
So in general, competitors we take into consideration are, of course, Porsche, Lamborghini, Bentley, Jaguar, also certain parts of Mercedes or Audi. But if I would have to choose one or two, I would say Porsche as a competitor with their higher range cars, because Ferrari with the Ferrari Roma at the moment, it's not an electrical car, but it's also, of course, aiming in direction Porsche 911. And what Porsche is doing, they already have a completely electric car. It's not a supercar, it's not a real sports car, more like a limousine, but I think they are further into direction fully electric car than we are at the moment, but this is not because we were sleeping or were late, but Ferrari in general, we are not the pioneers in types of electric motors or new types of motors. We're more the followers, because in the supercar segment, in the luxury segment, you don't have to be the first one to do something, especially with this alternative engines. But we take our time, and then if we have to come with a fully electric car, it will be on a high level. And if you are the first one, it's good because you have the knowledge about the technology, but you also might have some problems that the followers don't have. So to summarize it, if we have to look at a company, I think it might be Porsche, or the new companies, fully electric companies like Rimac, for example. And yeah, I think we are good prepared for the future with what is in our pipeline, and with the strategy we have for the upcoming 5 to 10 years.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Faust, for taking the time to answer our questions. Jimena, I now give you the floor.
Thank you. Now, on behalf of the whole Tec de Monterrey community, I would like to thank Mr. Faust for such a wonderful and exciting conference. Having the opportunity to look at your experience at Ferrari opened us our scope of possibilities about where we would like to work in the future. And finally, thank you for the time you took off for your schedule, for tuning in and sharing with us.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
That's why we would like to deliver to you this digital recognition for your participation in today's conference. From all the BGB community and Tecnológico de Monterrey, we thank you for the contribution to our business tour.
Thank you very much.
And before ending, we would like to invite you once again to follow the account that appears on screen, our Student Council Instagram, so that you don't miss out the rest of the amazing people and brands we will be having our business tour. With no further announcements, we thank you once again for your assistance, and we are looking forward to seeing you our next conference in Thursday. As you can see, our next stop is Adidas.
Perfect. Thank you very much. For the ones that want to stay for a small picture, we invite you to open up your cameras. Thank you for coming. Thank you once again for believing in CBGB. And of course, thank you, Mr. Faust, to come and talk about a little bit about Ferrari. So the ones who want to take a small picture, I will be taking it in just 3. Thank you. Okay, perfect. Thank you. So 3, 2, 1, smile. Hi, wait. There you go. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Thank you very much for coming, and hope to see you, everyone, in 2 days.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be sending
Thank
you the diploma via email.
Feed you to the wolves when you get nasty. Back at me.
Buena rola. Ya estamos solos. Bien,
Se sigue transmitiendo en
Seguimos
YouTube.
live, ¿no?